So the first thing is our curb cut. And thank you for coming. Do you know everybody here? Do you know
Yeah,
pretty much?
Matt
Niles. Oh, you
let's go, Bill.
know everybody else. So just to recap, I think. The curb cut regulations as they stand now. Allow a 5% or less grade of the driveway for the first 20 feet into the road. And it's been that way. But Scott's finding out that there's quite a few driveways, there's several that are a problem.
Yeah.
So we just thought it would be really a good thing to change it, and obviously help you out.
Yeah.
So I wrote something up just to throw it out there. I know it's not perfect, but, so this is on page 4. You guys have a copy? So this is on page 4 under, grade number 6. So I wrote, the grade of the access way curb cut shall be a -3% or greater for the first 20 feet. The object is to prevent any stormwater from damaging the town road. And then the grade for the next 10 feet shall be no greater than 8%. Yeah, because I think from what Scott and I talked about, you aren't really concerned with beyond the first 20 feet.
No, it's just that beginning.
Yeah.
So I have. So I can't run into the road.
Right, right.
So it's gonna be 8%.
No, 3%.
No,
No, the
well, I
first
was thinking
20
about the first, okay, so if this is the road,
Right.
we're gonna go down and then we're gonna go up. And the 8% is gonna get caught in whatever the dip is for the 3%. So there needs to be
It could.
drainage, so there, I mean, it can't just pool there, obviously, at the bottom of their driveway. So that needs to drain, and so does that mean that, well, there'd be a culvert there? Is, there's the dip goes down and then you have a culvert,
You mean
on a-
back 20 feet, you never call it?
No, well, I don't know, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get into, thinking about, well, where is the water gonna go? Cause we don't want it to go onto the road, it has to go into a culvert and either go under the road or down a ditch, if it's on the same side as the driveway,
Right.
right, so.
So if they're running their ditch. I mean, they're gonna just have to make their ditch deeper. But they can also, we can get away from. The way the culverts are right now. Right up against the town roads. They can be back, they can be set back.
Right.
I'm not sure if the one. They got from Hanover shows it.
This is just, just what Hanover does.
Well,
See, they got their culvert. Like. They're making them put them back.
yeah, so
Away from the
you
roads.
want the culvert out of the road right away.
It'd be nice, yeah.
Right, which that, depending upon where the road actually is, may or may not happen, but,
I mean, they can come back into my ditch. It's not,
right,
that's not a big deal.
yeah.
It's just getting. Franklin Hill's a perfect example.
Oh, well, we have it on Washburn Hill too. I mean, there's, just it's glazed ice.
Yeah.
On the travel surface on the
Right.
road, and the road's already narrow, so people, if they're trying to avoid the ice. I totally get it.
Yeah, so Scott, you're thinking that the ditch might be even closer to the road, but you could put the culvert back further.
The
And then it
culverts
would
could
just
go back
run-
further.
It would just run around and go into the culvert and
Yeah.
back out. Yeah, okay.
So
Right.
that'll just mean that you need to have an easy driveway plan to give to whoever's installing the driveway. Cause I don't think most homeowners are gonna know how to design that. So, I mean, if you had a template like this and could put distances in, just that the distance would be kind of blank, and then you say, oh, this would be best so far back from the town road and then tie into, there'd have to be a plan view also, tie into the
Part of
ditch.
the permit
Yeah.
that you sign off on saying,
Right.
you fill in the numbers saying it has to be.
Right, well, so I guess we kind of left last planning board meeting with going, well, is it better to have numbers? Like, 8% and -3%, or is it better to have just what he said in the last sentence? So that it doesn't go out into the town road. I mean, do you care about those grades? Or do you only care about it not going
The
to the town
outcome.
road?
The
Well, we
outcome.
were, maybe I'm not correct, but in my mind, when somebody's building it, if there's no number, if it just says it can't run into the
Mhm.
road, what does that mean? I mean, they might try to make it level and then thinking that it would be fine, and then it actually ends up being.
And then they
the
can make
other
it
way.
just a 2% and. In a year's time, it's filled in and it's running back out the road.
So you think you need, well, I mean, as long as we have good reason for that, to say, well, the 2% you don't think is gonna be adequate, fine, 3%, should be 5%. I mean, if you wanna have numbers, let's make them work for you.
Yeah, cause isn't
Yeah.
6 inches, let's see, how does this work? 6 inches and 20 feet, is that 5%?
That's the,
That would be 5%, right?
no, it's,
No.
6 inches is in
6 inches.
600 inches. So
You're into the-
whatever 600 inches is in
12,
feet.
12 into 600, what's that? 20,
That is
50. It's 5, it's times 5, so 50 feet.
Yeah.
50 feet.
so 6 inches and 50 feet is 5%.
3%. Isn't that what you asked for? Or do you ask for 6%? Or that was
6
one,
inches.
excuse me, that was 1%. Okay, so you could drop that down. So if that was 50 feet, you could drop it by 2/3
Almost.
to get back to 3 inches, -3 inches. But I
No,
could do,
no, he's going 3%. He's doing -3%.
Well, no, I was asking, what is a 6 inch drop in 20 feet?
at 3%,
No, just what is that? What percentage
what
is that?
percentage?
Yeah,
Okay, so 20
because this room is a little more than 20.
we
feet.
were at 12,
to
going up. It was a little over a foot,
I mean,
yeah, whatever the percentage, what was the percentage?
5, you mean the way it is now?
Yeah,
Yeah, so we allow a foot in 20 feet of drop toward the road, which is a lot.
6 inches and 240 inches is 2.5%. Right?
So in
20 feet. 20 times 12 is 240.
Mhm.
So 6 divided by 240 is 0.025.
Okay,
So it's 2.5%.
right, so then at 480 feet, it would be,
we're in the inches,
or inches.
It would be
No, it'd be-
1.25%.
Yeah, so at 240 inches would be 5%.
No, it's 2.5% at
No.
240 inches.
and you cut that in half at 120, it would be
5,
5%,
yeah.
yep,
so that's 10 feet.
10 feet,
So
yep.
10 feet
6 inches and 10 feet is 5%.
is 5%. So in 20 feet would be 2.5. So basically, if we make it 3%, we're a little more than 6 inches in a drop in 20 feet, whatever that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 some inches, which I don't know, that seems like yeah, more than enough. Well, anyway, I guess the question is, if you think, do you think 3% is reasonable?
I mean, I do,
I mean, we could make it 5, but
3%,
the water's not gonna run.
I think it's plenty.
If it's true 3%, if they make it a true 3%, the water's not gonna run up the hill to the road, so it should work. Yeah.
I had that before I came, now I can't find it. But it should be, it's like 7. It's like 7.5 inches, correct? In 20 feet.
6. What do you
Yeah,
say,
so-
20 feet was 240, so it'd be,
The 6-inch drop in 20 feet is a 2.5%.
2.5.
Right,
Right.
so it'd be just a little over 6, it'd be like 7.5 inches, yeah,
Yeah.
which seems like. Yeah,
And that would also be plenty for, in your,
Yeah, 8
low
inches.
slump cars, you're not gonna be bottoming out.
right, but to Vicky's point, we've got this slope away from the road, and then we've got, starting right here, we've got it up to an 8% going up. So whether, yeah, the water's gonna come down that 8% and pool up here somewhere, right, Scott, does that make
Right.
sense? So then the water's gonna, so it'll be 20 feet back from the road, but the water's gonna go somewhere.
So they put a
I
culvert.
understand that, but
It's not really your problem, I guess, at that point, right? In a way, it's
it's,
not your,
it's not, but you're only talking. I mean, even if they run the culverts back out to the town road. All they gotta do is have a ditch, bring that water back.
right? And go get into the ditch, into
Yeah.
the road, yeah.
How far, so you want the culvert, I'm just trying to think how to,
I mean, I'm
Say
just
in
saying
the-
the way we put them in, right? Lately.
yeah, just how, where do you want? Do you want to have it where you say how far the culvert has to be back when you approve it, or do you want to?
I mean, it'd be nice if we could get them off from. The town road.
Well, I say,
So,
I mean, I haven't seen one recently that. We could, McElbee's,
Yeah,
that one. That one's off the town road, probably 10 feet.
So the only concern I have is if
Yeah.
this road is sloping. And you've got this driveway that, comes off the road and has a culvert and then goes up the road. And the town ditch is all the way down that slope. Is that water then gonna come all the way along the road and through that culvert and then back out? Is
They'll
that,
come back out.
so it has to, you're gonna have to
It
size,
won't take the water from the town ditch,
why won't it?
because. They'll, it's all on how they do it. I mean,
Right, I'm just, the driveway is now blocking
Right.
the town ditch. So the
yeah, some of
water's
that
gotta,
water would, I
so,
mean,
so they're gonna have to size the culvert
right,
big enough. So does the town get involved in installing those or sizing them
we
or?
don't, once
sizing,
they're in,
sizing them.
we don't touch them.
yeah, well,
the homeowner's responsible.
yeah, the homeowner's responsibility, but in some cases, like when I used to live up on Flint Hill. Freddie used to come with to blow out if it was frozen culvert.
I mean, we do, but
So-
it's really. I mean, it's right in the. It's in the policy that we don't,
Yeah, well, it says right here on on this, I
Right.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's like in our policy too.
I mean, we do, I mean,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna dig out somebody's driveway culvert.
Yeah, well, so here's like to Hebe's point, so now we've got like water coming down the road and then there's this new driveway. And so it's gonna the ditch gets diverted through their new culvert and then back. So what if they don't maintain that I guess that washes out their driveway if they don't maintain it.
I guess that's getting back to what I was saying. On some cases. We're gonna have, I mean, the culverts are gonna have to be. Right up to the road like they are right now,
Well,
but all you're doing is running, you're continuing their ditch. To the town road ditch,
right,
and it's not. The town road water, ditch water. Is going through the culvert, it's not coming back in their driveway.
right,
How
I mean, you're
much
only
is,
talking 7 inches,
right.
7 or 8 inches.
And every driveway's different, I
It's
mean,
different.
you kind of have to adjust, when you see the
I
driveway.
mean, if you
what's
got a
gonna be,
driveway with no ditch. You know,
Right,
there's a cutout before or whatever.
They don't need a
I mean, there's
culvert.
been a couple of them. And it's their problem to put it's like McElvey's. McElvey didn't need a culvert.
Right,
I mean, technically,
Well, they're down below the road.
right,
How big is the town right of way on the road?
they all,
Varies.
it
They all
varies,
vary.
yeah.
Okay,
What happens to the actual level of the road over time? If it's a dirt road, will it gradually raise?
some, not much. I mean,
4 or 5 inches?
yeah, but that'd be over a course of 10 years, maybe,
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
maybe.
yeah, and I think you were saying at one point that with these driveways that slope toward the road, a lot of times over time, the dirt from the driveway runs out into the road, so it's building up the road there from the dirt from the driveway.
but usually with repairs, you're gonna have to dump something on the road and that's gonna
Yeah.
add up over time.
Over time, I mean, it's
And,
not,
I should remember that as, you know, people are driving up and down the roads, the rock is breaking up underneath. And basically turning to dust, you know, so if you look at it, especially like a hard packed driveway, you know, over several years of use. You'll notice the hard pack just breaks up. And it's smaller and smaller and then washes away. So even if you're building up, it's still going to. Go away, you know.
well, yeah, I guess in theory, I was just wondering in practice, do these roads get higher and
Yeah.
higher? In which case this becomes less and less of an issue over time.
yeah, I mean. The driveways that we have right now that we have the problems with. I mean, I know one, for example, we've dumped. Probably 40 yards. Just in that one spot, just to get the water to stay off from.
Hmm.
And that happens to be a tar driveway, and there's nothing you can do, I mean.
Hmm.
It's nothing you can,
Yeah, can't change that, right?
yeah, I was just, you know, getting, the way ours is configured is there's a ditch on the uphill side. So the water mostly goes there. Sometimes we get the rivulets, but then it dumps into the town ditch and there's a culvert that goes under the road. And that's the end of the,
my driveway is a perfect example when. They did a curb cut. I think it was Freddie and it might have been Ben Killen at the time. They wanted me to put a culvert in. And. I never did put a culvert in.
it's pretty
And-
flat.
Right, but the water comes out of my driveway. It goes into the ditch.
Yeah.
If there was a culvert there, where would that water be? In the town.
Well, it sounds like 3% is the pretty good answer, but we might want to have some language to allow some flexibility in a specific situation.
Well, I think, now you're right, Evie, and I think, in here somewhere. It gives, there's leeway for the road agent to make adjustments on certain, you know, it's not set in
sounds-
stone.
Sounds-
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to make it a hardship for anybody. I mean, it's
No.
just-
No, you just have to define the terms in a way that somebody can look at it and say, I know what I have to do.
I think once, you know, it is drawn up. There just needs to be language in there too that. None of the driveway water can come out into the roads.
Right, so it says here, a waiver may be granted if the road agent and the planning board representative find that the proposed alteration does not affect the potential for erosion, site distance, or drainage onto the town right of way.
I like it.
So we have that right in here in the
Good.
capabilities on page
That's
2,
fine.
so it's like in the first paragraph
fine,
of real
yeah.
stuff. And we might put that in bold, just so that people don't forget that it's there, and especially you guys know that you're entitled to waive the
Right, well,
standard.
yeah, I mean, Scott, I think you look at every driveway, new
Yeah.
driveway and say. What has to happen to make this work for the town, so,
Right.
so it doesn't erode the road, yeah. And, yeah. And try to, as you say, not give anybody make it a hardship,
Right.
make it as
That's-
easy as they, as for them as they can be and still not have a problem. That's really what, yeah,
I mean, with the way the zoning and stuff is, I mean. You're pretty much done with them steep driveways. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
it's not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
right,
But it's just, you know. Like the one that I was telling on Franklin, I mean, that's a 5%. I mean, they're legit, I mean,
right.
Hmm.
And it's still a problem.
it's gonna be. One of these days, it's gonna be, we're gonna be right back to where we were.
Yeah, washing out that ditch by the.
Yeah.
Franklin Hill Road. Yeah, well, at some point you may have to sit down with somebody and figure out how to, what they need to do to fix it.
Cause that. I mean, I know I talked to David about it. And I talked to you. And. I went back there that summer. And we figured it out and they were right there.
Yeah, I mean, they
They
meet,
didn't look it.
they meet the regulations.
Oh, yeah. The way it's written up right now,
Yeah,
that been written up. This way.
right.
Be a problem.
But you may have the right, if it's really washing the road, I would think you could say to them, well, you really need to change that 5%
What happens
grade onto
is
the road.
Scott would come to the planning board, and the planning board, I forget which RSA it is, has. Gives the planning board the right to tell the landowner that they need to fix it. And
Right,
so the
'Cause
planning
we-
board would send them a letter saying, this is a problem, this is what needs to happen to have it fixed. I would hope you would talk to them ahead of time.
right, right,
And if it doesn't, then, you know,
right, because I mean, we're here to help you, obviously.
Right,
So
I mean-
let us know, if you need help with,
Good cop, bad cop.
Trying to make it worse, it's something that should have happened. 20 years ago,
right.
I mean,
I know, it's interesting that hasn't really come up much.
and I know when I was doing construction, I ran into it up in Norfolk. I had to redo a whole driveway. Because. The way the slope was. But. I did talk to the road agent up there. And they have nothing right now.
No,
It's,
There's no zoning. in
no
Norfolk.
regulation.
They have no, the only regulation they have is. It's in a thing, water can't run into the town road.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It used to be. I think it used to be at 3 or 4% up there,
Mhm.
yeah,
and it was right on Sawyer Brook, it was. Right at the cul-de-sac, and
right,
it was. Virtually impossible. I mean, we did it, I mean, it made one steep driveway.
Oh, yeah, it's beast up there.
you mean after you changed it away from the
Yeah.
road, and then, yeah. Yeah, well, the other thing in our regulations on number 8 here, it says the access way shall not interfere with the road's drainage or maintenance. Where necessary, culverts, water bars, ditches, and other drainage structures shall be installed to ensure adequate drainage of the road. And to prevent excessive drainage from the access way curb cut onto the road. I mean, it says that right here in our, so
Right.
basically, yeah, I mean, I put this in. Saying the object is to prevent any stormwater from damaging the town road, but that's kind of a double,
It's redundant.
it's kind of
yeah.
a double thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Well, we could always in the front of section 5 of standards say these standards are meant to prevent any damage to the town road. And so it's like all of them, not just this one on drainage.
right.
We're gonna be changing stuff. There's no kind of preamble there, but. So you like what Tim said with the -3 and then
I think
the
they made it
5%?
very-
Yep, okay.
Go with it.
I'm just afraid if you went. And say 10 feet with a -3. And then go. If you went 10 feet. With a +3, I just think you don't have enough. It's not enough room,
Right,
I'm just afraid.
Right, well, the other thing we were talking about, I think Vicky brought it up, that you need 20 feet for a car.
Right,
So you want a place where a car could be.
Just
without
stop
having-
at the intersection.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
the 20 feet makes-
extreme events are also increasing in frequency, more and more rain, so I think that makes sense. You have to have a big enough area for a reservoir to
Yeah,
pool and run away.
and I mean, if it comes to. You know, where they need the culvert, if there's a lot of water coming down the ditch. Yeah, they can just shove it. Back towards a little bit, but all they can do is run the ditch. To the town road ditch, I mean, it's 7 inches.
right. So where do we stand? Do we wanna try to do language?
Why don't you give me your language? And then I can write up, before the next meeting, try to write up a, include that into the curb cut,
Right,
and then,
and then we just have to vote on it.
yeah,
No,
present
then
it
we have to have a hearing,
at public hearing.
Oh, right,
but we should get Rich Mangy here since he's an engineer
Yeah.
and make sure he's okay with it.
right.
And I guess David Kahn, I mean, it'd be nice to have select board representatives saying, oh yeah, let's go to public hearing with this amendment. And so that last sentence of Tim's, you could take that out and just put it at the beginning of section 5 standards. So,
Okay.
and so just use that language and just put it there, just, so it applies to them all. And,
Yeah, so just take out the object of,
well, we say the object of these standards
right.
is
put it-
to, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm gonna take this
Yeah.
out here.
Good,
Thanks, Scott.
thank you.
Yeah,
I did listen to some of the meeting, the last meeting you guys had. On logging accesses. And the particular logging access that I think you were talking about. It has to be put back. The way it was.
Well, good luck with that, because I don't see the stones and I don't see that granite post.
It has to be, they signed the paper, I
Yeah,
have the paper,
Ernst
Well-
can find stone somewhere, but
Do we have enforcement?
I
The
believe
select-
it's gonna be the select.
the select board decided they were gonna be in charge of enforcing logging access
Okay.
roads. And
Why-
we do the regular driveways and they do the logging access.
yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because the state, they'll allow a logging access road anywhere and don't get wetlands permitting or anything. And then, but they never come back to look. So,
I read it to you,
Right,
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, well, that's great
Right.
because I think it's
Tim's language,
it's
yes, I have it.
just messy what they've done.
And maybe David can get a copy of that and then can.
Yeah.
give
I
it
don't
to you
mean to make
guys.
trouble for them, but it just,
I
Ugly.
took it, I thought it was easier
it's like,
to get it away from you guys, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it is, because. Then I can do it, I don't have to get Tim, you know, it's temporary.
right,
And the,
right, it's
the
a template.
select board knows about these going on because they have to do the intent to cuts.
mhm,
So it kind of.
Yeah.
They felt that it followed. Suit that if they're gonna prove an intent to cut, then they should be the ones, making, it would make it easier on the logger to get everything done at once.
well, good luck taking that apart. There's so much stone dropped on, if it was a, construction access, it'd be good for getting rid of all the dirt, but. I don't know how they're even gonna finish that, and,
I mean, I don't know
and I don't,
how they're gonna enforce it, but
yeah,
it does, it says right in there. it
Yeah,
has to be
I don't
put back to
know.
Original,
so I don't think that they've installed septic yet. I don't,
yeah,
and so they may need it still for equipment to get down there to get the septic in.
no, I don't think so, they cut it right off, down below,
Well, I
So you
don't,
can't get through.
no, they can't get.
well, then they have to put the septic in.
Well, can they come in from the other way, like from the bottom of the hill, they can come up through that way?
Oh, and mess up more of their property?
Yeah,
Um,
well, they
Or they. I mean, I left Market Street posted just. And I talked to Graham Webster. Graham was the one doing the work,
yeah,
Oh,
and he was
goodness.
fine coming in from the other way, I just didn't want,
you mean that from the bottom of the hill?
right, I just didn't want Market Street to get. Hounded, I mean,
well, the hill's just a dangerous place anyway.
which he said that. It wasn't no big deal, because everything was coming out West Love,
Mhm.
So it's closer for him just to come up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the other side.
Um,
Well, so it sounds like it's in the select board's hands now to enforce this. Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard, but I think if some of these are actually enforced and the word gets out, then it's gonna make it a lot easier in the future, because I think in the past, a lot of these things happen and people put them in and then everybody forgets about it, and they kind of get to the point, well, we really don't have to do this. What they say, but we don't have to do it,
I mean, I can't do anything with the logging accesses that they've been using. I can't do anything about that right now.
Well, I wonder, why couldn't the logging access be the driveway? And then we wouldn't have two openings and that much more stone wall.
Well, we didn't have the
getting in.
we didn't have the site distance, but of course we could, you
You didn't have the site distance?
know, the 200 feet.
Well, why didn't they put the driveway where the logging access road was then?
Because there wasn't
That's
the
where we-
site.
Oh, well, then why
distance.
didn't the logging access go where there was the site distance? I mean,
No.
it just like, that site was like,
Yeah. I know, that was,
You went with me when we did, that was the first one, and that's when. Oh. Well, I guess we did Rich Mackey's too, but. That was like one of the first ones that we did, and then we turned around. And. Then they wrote this one up, then
for the logging access.
for the logging access.
Well, it was easier for them to go in there for sure. In hindsight. I mean, we should have maybe put the driveway where the logging access is and waived the site distance. I mean, it's the problem with that hill steep now that you can't see 200 feet, from where the logging access is down the road.
I know you tried to get them to. You talked to them about moving, they weren't gonna move.
or put the logging access where the driveway ended up. I mean, it just, because it's never gonna kind of be the same. And that granite post was there because it used to be a gate that went into the field,
I remember that conversation with
right? at the-
Tim, that it was
bottom.
going back in, so.
Yeah, and that would have been right at the
Yeah.
bottom of the
Good
old
luck.
driveway,
Do you remember
so.
that conversation? Yeah, that he was gonna. Put it there.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, yes, but they have to. They have to put it back.
Yeah,
And then I have a question for you, because it seems like their electrical service is right there. Is that gonna stay?
Yep.
So that somebody can just pull the plug on them? There's a handle there that on, off, their electrical service. Any Joe could go by and mess with that. It's like a really bad placement.
Well,
It shouldn't be like
if
that.
they're gone and somebody wants to rob the house, they just pull the lever. And go in there. I mean,
You're
it's
supposed to
all
pull it in.
hilarious.
Have terrorism.
They were
Yeah.
supposed to put a cutout in down below. I didn't have it in writing. It was just,
So, but that's right in
Our
the town
word.
right away also.
and. They, I don't believe it's gonna happen.
You mean have it down below?
Yeah, just down below, they were gonna put another cutout in.
Well, if there's no cameras up there, let's just go up and turn their power off.
Well, it's just, they're young people with 3 kids. I mean, they don't have the time and the bandwidth, I am sure, to understand what's going on. All they want to do is have a house they can move into and be done with renting and be done with paying
Well,
contractors.
they own, but
I know
No,
they
they
own
sold-
permitted,
they
that's
sold
what they
that.
sold.
I know.
They sold and they don't live there anymore.
But
Right.
they're young, young
Sure,
family,
sure.
they don't have, but it's just like, we need to help them so that things like this don't happen, because it ends up like. Kind of our town is like, we want electrical cutoffs, right? Is, you're walking on the road and these big openings for the construction access that, take out. I mean, it's gotta be 25 feet wide of stone wall that's gone now, and that granite post. And now it's really nice because I can sit at my dining room table and look up the hill and see cars coming down because all the clearing that they did. So,
right.
and that's like my problem, not anybody else's. But it just, it's a lot for that one
Mhm.
house.
Well, we just need to try to think of all the possibilities. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Well, I will
It's
say,
hard.
they never put in any erosion control, but I don't believe that anything ever got down to the brook. And, so that's
Yeah,
the
that's
good news.
Right,
But there was nothing and that site was wide open and they disturbed a lot of soil.
right,
But I don't think anything got down to the brook, so.
well,
What about,
Uh-huh.
remember Preston Road keeps washing into Route 10? There was a plan to pave the aprons and some of these things, is that,
We talked about it. It's-
last year they said they would do it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, no, oh, that's too bad.
yeah. Well, as I said, I think if the select board actually enforces some of these things, the word will get out and, you know, people will say, oh, yeah, we really have to do this, and they won't be able to just ignore
That
it.
intent to cut must be done with now, correct?
There's,
Is it-
there's no longer posted on any of the trees.
Yeah, but I
The
forget
intent
what
is only good for
where-
a year, so.
Yeah, so when. I don't know if it's up yet,
Oh,
so I don't know
If
if
it's a
they, if
year.
the select board can even do anything yet.
I would say it's up.
They have a year.
Oh, really?
Well, you know. It's no different when you just log. I think it goes to March, from whatever till March.
Yeah. I guess so, yeah.
Your intent because
Right.
I can. I can ask Jordan tomorrow. but
So you're thinking that they don't have to put that loading access road back the way it was until the intent to cut is
Yeah.
over,
That's fair.
yeah. Well, when did they start cutting up there? It was last fall?
No, it was before that.
It's been almost a year.
But they were dropping trees, into the
My guess
into
is they
the
had to follow
late summer.
two intents,
Yeah.
would be my guess.
Well, hopefully the select board can do something.
Man, it's right in that paper they sent. It
Yeah,
Oh,
has
good.
to go back to,
right,
I know that was mentioned, or just.
right.
Well, I don't-
Bring it up.
I don't think that construction access or the logging access is damaging the road in any way, so at
No,
least
but
that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a.
it was like that.
It's just
Yeah.
aesthetically, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great, so I will
I'll get
write
it,
something up.
Okay.
I will. Can pass it to you for comment and back to the board for review, and then
We just.
when everyone's happy with it.
We'll invite you to the public hearing. Well, no, but because I think it's really important that if you're happy with it and can say that at the public hearing, then
Yeah,
other
that's-
people should be, that gives it some credibility and it's not just some crazy thing from the planning board.
No, that's fine.
So that would be good if you
I-
could, but at the next meeting that we talk about it, you don't need to come back. I think we've got it,
Yeah.
but it's just
Right.
important for the Rich and.
Yeah.
And I
Dave
will
to
keep
hear
you
about.
in the.
And then
so
we
what
just
changes.
vote and make it so,
We need to have a public hearing, hear what people have to say, talk
but it
about their
doesn't have to go to
comments.
town meeting.
No,
No,
no, and,
Excellent.
yeah,
right, just. Great, Scott, and yeah, and I just wanna say that if, we're here to help you, so if. Any problems you have, whatever, let us
Right.
know.
I
Let us
will,
know,
yeah.
so you're not out there on your, hanging out there on your own.
I
Yeah,
try to. Not start the fence, that's too bad anyway.
well, yeah, but you should be able to say what, has to happen
That's right.
to protect the town roads and all that,
Right,
And people need to realize that, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them that just, we deal with them, I mean,
no, you guys do a great job, I mean. It's pretty crazy with the weather we've been having.
yeah,
Yeah, at least there hasn't been too much snow, but we may get a
No.
lot in February, who knows?
yeah. But it costs us just as much to take care of an inch or two than it does 2 feet, I mean. it's
Yeah,
just-
right.
It's
Right,
crazy, but,
Great.
good, well,
Alright.
thanks.
Thank you.
thank
Scott.
you,
Yeah,
Scott,
yeah,
okay.
have a good one.
Ready. Yeah, you can come, yeah, sit right here. Yeah. So
We moved to Lyme in 1882.
I think maybe go around the table, I don't know.
Thank you.
No, sorry, I'm Dave Robbins, I'm the planning and zoning administrator.
And I should know this, but I just.
But I don't know your first name.
Correct.
Sure, okay.
Hebe Quinton.
Tim Cook.
Yeah,
Right.
Vicky Smith,
Nat Niles.
I'm sorry,
Oh, Nat Niles.
Nat Nile.
I live
You live right,
Clover Mill.
Oh, yeah, I didn't recognize you, that accident.
I don't have your clothes on.
He has his.
so we bought, if you look at the map, 3.4 acres was owned by Sid and Corolla Lee back in 1982. In 2000, Brett Ryan approached me because he was going through a divorce, needed some money, and I bugged him for years that I'd like to buy some land across the road. So he agreed to sell me that parcel, which is 15.9 acres. The sad reality is that my wife and I have gotten older. And we live in an old farmhouse, with a lot of maintenance issues. And we've decided that our life would make more sense if we built a smaller, energy efficient house across the road. So we have a beautiful pond, which Morty and John dredged, took out 240 truckloads of soil. So it's a beautiful pond with trout and a beach for our grandchildren, which is wonderful. So we'd like to build across the road. And the question is, how do we do that? So in my outline here, in number one, obviously we want to build on the other side of the road. Can we demerge the two lots? It would make sense for us to sell the 3.4 acres in the house, proceeds of which we could build our house. Obviously, there's enough land across the road for us to build a house. The soil is very, very sandy, so we don't anticipate any blasting. Who knows how much, where the water table will be. Ideally, we would separate the two. The one on the south side of the road, one on the north side of the road, but looking at planning and zoning and preliminary talks with Dave, that may not be possible.
Well, we merged, when Brett sold us the land, he said it'd be easy to merge the two pieces.
It was
That's a long time
purchased
ago.
through an annexation lot line adjustment.
Right.
So when you purchased the southern piece, that became one lot.
Yeah,
Right.
everything there, right.
And we realized it was easier for Brett to do it this way than a subdivision. And at the time, being young and foolish and not knowing a hell of a lot, I said, well, sure, fine. You know,
Right.
we love the land and
Right, so Tim, you're thinking that if you sold your existing house with 3.4 acre, it would be a non-conforming lot,
Well,
Right.
because it's less than 5
You
acres.
couldn't subdivide it because
It's
it would be a non,
non-conforming.
you know, would not meet the 5 acre.
So could he,
But can we
So-
sell it?
no, not.
so here's my
no,
question.
You just sublet it first.
this lot of 3.4 acres was a lot for many, many years in existence. Pre-zoning was acceptable lot. So now the zoning is saying, well, you can't sell that lot because it's not 5 acres, but it existed for a long time as a 3.4 acre lot. So to me, it seems ludicrous that I have to add
Right,
6 acres.
Right, so I think you could go to the zoning board of adjustment and get a variance. I mean, that
You
seems
do.
like,
A
you know.
variance or special?
No,
Don't
it's
be
a
a variance.
variance because it
There's no
need a
special-
variance
That's right, I guess it
from the
happened.
lot size. But I think what you need to do is, do you have a state approved septic on the 3.4?
Oh,
I don't, you know, we bought the
Is-
property. I don't know if it was state approved. It's been working.
been working.
We pump the septic tank every.
I mean, I just talk about the
Oh, across.
50
the
across
way.
the-
No, well, no, I really want to
Oh.
know about the 3.4 before we leave that,
Yeah.
you know, on its own.
Right.
Are you guys sure that you have adequate septic for that lot? Because, I mean, it could be that if there wasn't, that the people who bought it, you might want to give an easement and they can always pump it under the road and all that. So you want to make sure that that is a happy lot. And the state is going to require that anyway, because anything under 5 acres, when you subdivide, you need to have a state approved septic for the state.
Yep.
So, so that's, it's
How do
like,
we determine that?
Yeah.
we need to get somebody to find your system and say, oh yeah, this is big enough. Well, and it may be that.
Do they have to like dig it up?
They will use a probe.
Oh,
defined where your, you know where your
We know
tank
where
is.
it is, yeah.
And then the leach field,
Yeah,
they'll
it's the
see
leach
what's.
field, really, that-
what's
Cause the leach
there.
field could be a Model T.
The leach field, who knows what it is?
Yeah,
But
how old is it? Do you know how old this
Never
is?
smelled anything.
Well,
never-
it's,
Yeah, it's good.
it-
But
Well,
you've
you
got nice
sandy
sandy soil.
It's
It
really
appears to
sandy.
be
Yeah.
a very flat area.
Yeah.
The septic tank, I know exactly where it is, because I have it pumped every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
I've never smelled odors, the grass grows on it, we don't see any effluents flowing into Whipple Road,
Right.
so
So
But you
depending,
haven't done a leach field since you were there though, probably, right?
everyone,
You haven't done
No.
a new leach field since you
No.
were, and that's been what, 82?
82, yeah.
so even back then, you had to have a state approval.
well, it was a separate lot though, so they wouldn't have needed to have.
But if it's
It
looking,
wasn't
if
separate
it,
from the house.
When Sid put
Right.
it in, it would have to
But
be a septic.
exactly,
Yeah.
and if it's looking like a lovely flat area, it sounds like it's been engineered.
Correct.
So there's
don't know.
probably
Well,
Some-
except if it was there before you were there,
Yeah,
it could have, back in those days,
it could. Yeah.
somebody could have just put it in and not even told the state.
Well, and it might not be sized properly, given the number of bedrooms that are in the house. So, I mean, but you're gonna need to prove that you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
an adequate septic there. And so that's just one thing that the
And
state's gonna require.
and it has to be sited well away from the well as well.
75 feet.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah,
well,
it's cited.
yeah.
Away from that.
So, and then I would say you'd wanna go to the zoning board and see if you can get a variance, because you got a town road running. I mean, that's a physical problem. You got a town road running right between your properties, so why not? If they say no, I mean, what we could do is the lot averaging. I don't know how much frontage you have for,
You have, the small lot has, 476 and the big lot has, 948.
yeah. So
How does that
it just,
work?
there'd be, do we still have those? They have the zoning restrictions on
You
the
have to, still have to,
1.6 acres.
Yeah.
And so that there'd be 1.6 acres that you couldn't build on.
Right.
And you couldn't sell to somebody else, because it balances the acreage deficit on your home lot.
But I wouldn't have to do a subdivision of that 1.6 acres on it.
No, it just needs to be shown on the plan,
Oh, I understand.
and to say that
Right.
this isn't used for building purposes, and it, it's satisfying dimensional controls for that other lot.
Right.
So, and they don't own it, you own it, it's restricted in terms of development, so we do have that lot averaging thing in our zoning that. And
If they get it there, yeah.
yeah, and so, but if that, you would only need to do that if you couldn't get a variance,
Right.
so
But could they get a I mean, because to get a variance, you have to show that
you've got
you can't do
hardship.
something that nobody else, that everybody else can do.
Right, well, he can't, how can he make a lot that's on that side of the road that's 5 acres?
Well, you'd have to add,
Well, wouldn't you just have to add one
Something from the other
in
side.
1.6 acres?
Well, but I think the road it's like having a stream or something else running through your property. I mean, it's a kind of natural dividing thing. And I mean, the other thing you could do is ask, I don't know if that's one neighbor or two neighbors on either side of you, if they would annex land. I mean, that would be like, we tried to get land to make 5 acres, for this lot from our neighbors, and
Right.
they said no. So, yeah, because I don't personally buy the fact that a lot is on both sides of a road.
Right.
except the zoning says it.
I know,
Doesn't-
but, and in fact, we have.
we just merged one up on Route 10.
We have biotic
Yeah.
right of way that goes across, it doesn't make a division on, even on the state roads here, but it functionally isn't.
But the
It's
planning board can't
nonsensical.
approve that plan, we have to go to the ZBA to.
for variance.
For the
Yeah.
variance would need to
Yeah,
go
for
to
the
the
variance for
ZBA.
lot size.
And then,
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much money that costs, but I think it's a reasonable ask, and you don't have to encumber the 15 acres.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, because the other option would be taking 1.6 acres out of
yeah,
here
and
somewhere.
and have it
And
across
that's a
the
little
pro-
crazy. It
Yeah,
is
especially if
crazy,
you
yeah.
wanna own
Yeah.
you guys, I guess, wanna own the pond, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Well, it would be a weird shaped.
Right.
It would be a
lot.
weird shape.
It'd be sort of ludicrous to say, okay.
Right.
Well,
you know,
does it have to be contiguous, the 1.6?
Well, it's
Can be.
part and parcel, I mean, it.
Well, I mean, does it have to abut the road, or could you say the carve off a
Like,
1.6?
You would need to have it at least touching to be part of the same
That's,
lot.
that's,
Yeah,
that's,
this, it's always been referred to odd shaped lots, but in the
Yeah,
subdivision regs, the planning board has jurisdiction over how a lot is shaped, and
I mean, this is just
Yeah.
a stupid situation, you know, and it are. Yeah, anyway, so I would go to the zoning board first, and if they say no, then we have to work out something, but you need to find out about your septic on that, and then you also, do you know where you wanna put the new house?
Mhm.
And you know that you can probably get a septic there,
Here's an example. So I built a pole barn a few years ago, 15 years ago. And I borrowed Ketterer's tractor to post hole dig because I use cell phone poles. And so I dug the 9 holes and brought the tractor back to John, and he looked at me and he looked at the auger and he said, "Did you polish this before you brought it back?"
Yeah,
I
it's all
literally
sand,
hit
man.
one rock the size of my fist, the rest was all sand.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, to answer your question,
Yeah.
we hope.
Yeah, and have you talked to Scott about the driveway, where your new driveway would be?
Just Scott.
the
Scott.
guy, Scott Bailey, the
No,
road
but
agent.
Oh.
We haven't gotten
No,
Okay.
that far.
Currently, right now, there's,
We have a driveway to the barn
yeah, the driveway.
on that
barn is the
land.
Mhm.
Sort of a logical place to bring the driveway in,
Yeah,
so.
okay, well,
Yeah.
what he needs to see is that it's a logical place for there to be more traffic going in and out.
Yeah.
And that's a safe location.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
you
things
need
we were just talking
Two
about.
hundred, you need 200 feet of sight distance. Either way,
Either way, okay.
at 39 inches off the ground. Cause I do the driveway with Scott, so, yeah.
This is
So
the
basically-
driveway regulations. I just had, my copy had two.
Yeah.
Paste stapled together, so,
They all
Sure.
did.
yeah, that's fine, because I can give it to the Fishers, but, yeah. So you might wanna just, so, you know, a lot needs a good place that you wanna put your house. It needs a septic system, a well, and a driveway.
Yeah.
And,
and that you would need to have that before you could get the subdivision, because it had to be on the plan
right,
for the subdivision.
Which
So-
map is this?
so you also.
407.
You wanna be,
407.
careful, I mean, because you got your pond, and we have that shoreland setback.
Mhm.
So any new construction needs to be set back from the pond,
Is it a distance or is that?
200 feet.
200 feet.
200, There's
Yeah.
plenty of room to do that.
yeah. So that means your leach field and your house.
Right.
And, yeah,
Yeah, that, I don't think, it shouldn't be a problem. There should be
Yeah.
plenty of room.
Are you gonna have to drill a well
Would I have to drill a well?
for the new house?
Yeah,
Yeah, so, so you have to, that has to be 75 feet from your lease.
yeah. Does the well have to be a certain distance from a lot line?
I'm sorry, 100 feet, not 200 feet, because it's not one of the large ponds. So I'm just double
Yeah.
checking, make sure I get the right information.
So the septic has to be 100 feet from the pond, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
hold it, it's 100,
That seems pretty close.
septic is bigger than that. I mean, isn't it 125? I don't have.
that would be state regulation.
No, that's,
no,
it's only
oh.
75 for the state.
I mean, it can be as far away as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Right, but you
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't be for the state any more than 75, but ours is bigger.
Section
I think
5,
ours is like
13, I think it
125 or
is.
something.
Yeah, I don't want it close to it.
No, you don't want it.
Well, no,
close to
you
the
wouldn't, if
pond.
you have plenty of room, you put it, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's sand.
Yep.
The water will just travel and not get
Exactly.
treated. So
Exactly.
And you have
Sand.
algae growing in your.
sand doesn't treat,
But I
doesn't
don't want
absorb
any
nutrients.
algae.
I know, so you don't want it,
100
you
feet.
don't want it to leach it all into your
So
pond.
if the soil is sandy, as it appears to be,
So the design is always about trying to get rid of fluid.
Yeah.
Which sand is great at, but sand is terrible at treating and absorbing any organics that wind up in the effluent. So the water will just travel. So you want it as far as you can away from the pond. Clay is great for treating things and terrible for getting rid of
Yeah.
the fluid, so.
Yeah, but that was part of the bottom of Lake Hitchcock, right? Which I think would,
Yeah.
Hitchcock went up that far, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, before Morty's Pit, down where our neighbors lived in Lynch. When it was a sand pit before it was restored, I used to take the boys down there and they'd run and jump and watch them one afternoon and look across the sand pit and I could see layers of sand.
Yeah,
So it's like, wow, this was a.
Yeah,
Alluvial
Bottom.
deposit.
bottom of the lake, yeah.
That's interesting. All right, so distance pond from the septic,
100 feet, so everything needs to stay 100 feet away.
200 feet distance at 39 feet of the driveway, okay. Lot of
Well, you got your driveway regulations, your own set.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, that sounds, I mean, I think that's a good solution, hopefully it'll work.
Yeah.
If you get a variance, if not, we'll
It would be great.
do something else.
yeah, if not, then we'll have to do something crazy with the lot. I mean, we can do the lot averaging, you don't have to.
Mhm.
Cause we have that in the regulation.
So how does lot averaging work?
So basically what the planning board can do is allow reduced lot sizes, for. So you do a subdivision, you reduce that lot size, but whatever you reduce it by, so it's a 5 acre minimum. And so it's 3.4, so
1.6.
1.6 acres is the difference. So you would have to take an area that's 1.6 acres and set it aside and put an easement on saying that it would never be developed.
Oh, that's easy
Now,
enough.
you could do that down below, down by the brook,
Yeah.
you know, in an area where you probably would never even be able to access.
But we were talking about that a little bit then. Who pays taxes on that?
You do.
You do.
Well, this really did concern me because who's gonna buy, so we sell the house and we say, well, you've got a total of 5 acres, but you can.
No,
only-
no, they only have 3.4.
Yeah, but you would get the subdivision, or subdivided lot, you take that lot as it was when you bought it.
Yeah.
And then you would be able to sell that 1.6 acres would be on the southern lot on your property. And it would be, you could set it off on one corner.
Yeah, you would still
And then-
own that.
What's the point of that?
It protects it.
It's a lot averaging so that the average 5 acre minimum lot size gets respected.
Oh.
So you'd have 1.6 and say you've got 15 here, so you could still do another subdivision of your property, that 15 acres, 1.6 would be gone, so now you're down to 13 point whatever. And, divide that in half for 6 and 6.
Yep.
So the average lot between the 3 and the 2 6s, is greater than 5, which is what we want.
So actually, it's a
Understood.
very interesting point. If we have the ability to actually subdivide that into 3 lots, 1.6.
We're not.
No, not the 1.6, it would be 3.4.
Yep.
And then on the other south side of the road, there would be 2 lots.
You'd still have, because you'd only have 13.4
Yeah.
on the other
Right,
side, but you
but-
could still do 2 lots on the 13.4.
And you could not use that 1.6
For any-
for
to,
anything.
Or to,
add to a lot to say,
right,
um,
actually, we have this added 1.6.
right, so when you do all your dimensional calculations, you have to take that 1.6 out.
Not that I would want to, but it just dawned on me. I think you're saying, Vicky, that I could subdivide the lot on the south side of the pond into 1.6.
No, not
No.
1.6.
No.
No, it's
No,
a
we just
2
have to
lots.
put that aside.
1.6 can count for your acreage
Yeah.
for one of those lots on the south side of the road. You can have 2 lots on the south side of the road.
Just 2.
Yeah.
Does that include the 1.6?
It would include
One
that
would be-
1.6, but that's not a separate lot. That's
Yeah.
part of one of those lots.
Right.
And it can't be used to calculate the dimensional controls of the lot that it's
Lot
part of,
coverage, right.
because it's
It's already
technically,
been used.
right,
Right,
that
it's already
1.6 has
been
been
used.
acres
Yeah,
have been,
It's already spoken for, yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, could I create
Yeah.
2 lots.
3 lots?
You can create 2 lots on the south side.
That's all.
That's all.
See,
That's
you have
all
to,
there's enough land for.
you have to do lot
Because
lot
you-
size averaging, because
Well-
30 to 40% of the lots Lyme townwide are too small for what the zoning as it exists.
Right.
But isn't that because they all, it took place before the zone, before
Right.
that.
Yes, the zoning came in
Yeah.
in 1989.
Right.
And
Oh, what's that? Like?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was-
so anytime, anything
yeah.
before that was no zoning, so they did whatever, yeah.
Right.
Well, one thing I will say, if the zoning board were to give you the 3.4 acre variance, you might be able to subdivide the south side into 3 lots.
That's what I was curious.
Yes, if you get that,
you get the
if
variance.
you get the variance.
Right, because I'm thinking,
Yes.
But we have no intention of doing that at
no,
all.
no, but my point is this. If we are able to do it from an estate planning perspective, you know, my kids might benefit from being able to sell one of those 5 acre lots.
Well, okay, but you need to lay out your situation so that that is actually an easy thing to do. And one thing we haven't talked about really is this ag soil? You know, are there wetlands? Are there steep slopes? Are there other setbacks from, wetlands or streams?
Yeah,
on
there's
the
a stream, yeah, there's stream,
Yeah,
and
so-
then it borders on Trout Brook
So
and.
not all of that is gonna be
Right.
developable land.
Right.
So, I mean, I would
Right.
say, you know, probably your 2 lots is probably what you're gonna get. And the kids will just have to split it, you know, sell it and split it, or one buys it and pays up to the others, you know, that's.
Yeah, we do have a steep slope.
Yeah.
Right, so there are things like that. I mean, it looks very flat on this map, but I'm sure that there's stuff going on in
Chances are,
15 acres, so,
you won't have the 15 acres.
well, 15
In
acres.
15 acres.
A picture, and
This
this gives you a little more.
But I mean, in citing your new
Yeah,
house,
that shows
you
you where
should
it
think
goes
about
down steeply here down to
citing
the.
how
brook.
that other 5 acre lot might work. And if I were you, I would actually do the subdivision now. And pay taxes on it and all that, but, and make sure, you know, maybe you'd be sharing a driveway. Maybe, you
Would
know,
it would have to come out of current use.
oh, it's gonna,
Yeah.
well, it's gonna
Well,
have to.
But then,
Yeah.
but then
Well, no,
you do,
not necessarily.
Well, they took just 5 acres
Right, if
for
you-
the
as
house.
long as-
Yeah,
No, I meant if he subdivided it.
yeah,
No, if you subdivide, as long as he's retaining ownership of both pieces, and your contiguous land is over 10 acres.
Hmm.
Then you qualify for
right,
current
then
use.
but I think if you did subdivide it, your new house would have to all fit on
That
one of
one
those
5
5
acre.
acre. So you'd have to make sure that you could get your
Yeah.
septic and all that
Yeah,
stuff on
well,
just those 5
Right.
acres.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not my intention, but I'm just thinking. That the future would be valuable.
Why leave value on the table?
Yeah, and I could subdivide it every way through it.
yeah.
But that's a good point.
But if you
Septic as
did-
well.
Yeah, you just have to make sure, because
Yeah.
you'd have just a 5 acre lot that you're putting a house on, that's all you'd have
Yeah.
to use, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is
Yeah,
encouraging.
that's a good, very good point, but like I said, I mean, we've talked to the kids about this and. They just want to make sure that the pond is there. That's all that's
Is
important.
it a
Yeah.
yellow house right
Yeah.
close to the road?
It is right
Okay,
close to the.
I used
road.
to ride up there.
Oh, no kidding.
It's a wonderful road, you know, we don't wanna move anywhere, we wanna stay
Apparently,
there,
across the road from the house, there was a barn, which is long
but you might
gone.
remember that actually.
And according to, I think Brett told me this,
Hmm.
that the owner of the yellow house was killed in the barn by a bull.
Oh, my gosh.
So, sad.
Huh.
It was a huge barn and Brett took it down about a year after we bought the house. We didn't
Mhm.
own that part of the
Right,
property yet, but it was a
right.
huge barn.
Yeah.
Who lived in your house before you bought it?
Sid.
Oh, Sid.
Sid Corolla,
Oh, is that
yeah.
what they
okay.
were?
And before that, I think it was sort of communal. There was a commune. What was that commune out of Canaan?
Wooden
Brick-
shoe.
Wooden shoe.
Yeah, they lived
I
there.
don't think,
They did. I know they
Yeah.
did.
So like
branch out
Jim
there.
Rubens
Yeah.
was there and,
Well, the wooden
Yeah.
shoe was in Canaan though, the actual.
They were
wooden
out
shoe.
here.
yeah,
they
so,
were
so,
in Canaan.
There was
Yeah.
something, there was another
They
one
also-
out on Beaver Meadow Road in Norwich.
They had a branch.
They had a branch.
Interesting. I
And
didn't
the
know
house
that.
certainly looked like that commune. I've been living there when we bought it.
It was
Yeah, I
fantastic.
didn't- I didn't.
There's a
pay attention.
gorgeous cape just above you.
Yeah, yeah, the Emlins live there. and they-
Oh, yeah,
Meg-
Meg McLean lives there now.
Yeah, I
And she's,
remember that.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, we, maybe 5 or 6 winters ago, went for a walk one winter up to her house. And it was cold and I came up to the top of the rise. I looked over and there were flames shooting out of her chimney. And she's in the kitchen, having a cup of tea, completely. I thought it was
Chimney
her.
fire.
Cleaning out her chimney, yeah, I think
Maybe
that's.
we should probably call the fire department.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, well, let's let them get back to work.
great, so.
So we
you
don't have
other-
to do
Any
anything.
other
Do you
questions?
agree that that's, like, they should go to the zoning board first?
Yeah, I mean,
Ask, I mean, if they don't wanna encumber the south side of the road at all, it's a reasonable.
yeah, I think that's a good plan to,
How likely are they to,
Well, the road is a compelling,
roads a pain in the neck.
well, it's
the
a
biggest
compelling
issue is
feature
for
of the road, of your property.
a variance is that you have to show hardship. And so that's the only, real issue is being able to say that by not getting the variance, there, it's creating you a hardship. And I think, trying to, breaking up the south lot in such a way that you get that 1.6 acres.
Yeah.
It does, there's no real logical way of doing that.
There really isn't. We've walked all around and looked and
Yeah,
thought
so-
about it. And also you need to, you need to keep your frontage. We know, that frontage is really important and
So, yeah, I can't speak for the board, but, I can certainly get you before them and,
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think-
mean, it's,
I think one of the things you want to decide those, do you want to do, just the single subdivision where you break the 2 lots up, or do you want to do a 3-lot subdivision where you're going to decide you want to break up the other lot into 2, the southern part into 2 lots?
well, it'll really all depend on what they say to us.
Well, I think you
Well,
need to
but
know.
also, as Tim points out, in terms of septic and well.
But I think the board needs to know ahead going in, what your plans for that lot is.
Yeah.
yeah, because you kind of have to divide that 15 acres and if you do 2 lots, you kind of have to divide it almost in half, I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I
And
don't
then-
think we're gonna want to do that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't,
And that way you're
Is
just
it-
going in, you're telling the zoning board, this is what I'm doing, and.
Right.
Then afterwards, come back and do something completely different.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, that way, no one's also gonna come back and say, well, you said you were gonna do this, you didn't,
yeah,
and so you're in violation of their decision.
yep,
Okay,
that makes sense.
great. Well, thanks for the encouraging news.
Yeah, it is more encouraging than we thought, I think. Sure thinking, how are we gonna cut off a piece slab of land to go with?
Well, as Vicky pointed out, if the people that own the land behind us were agreeable, they could sell us that 1.6.
I mean, you could ask, and I think it's why don't you ask and get something in writing and say, no, we don't want to sell, so that you have proven to the zoning board that you've tried to get 5 acres on that side of the road and couldn't.
That's a great
So,
suggestion.
I mean,
Yeah.
because that is trying to exhaust all options,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
Maybe.
time.
do you all have one of these?
Yep,
I give
Okay.
you-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's great. I have that. There's quite a bit of building going on our road. There's a new house
Yeah.
going up above us. There's a house going in.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Above you?
There's
All
houses
this stuff
going around
going-
my neighborhood too.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and like Tim always said, you can't buy all the land. It's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen.
Yep.
It's, it's interesting to watch, especially if you've been here a long time.
Yep. No,
okay.
because I've only been at my current place for not even 10 years, and there are 2 houses that have gone in,
Where do you live on that?
Really.
Market Street,
Mhm.
so they're up on Washburn Hill.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's really coming. I mean, we had a period, well, back in the recession, we had some period when there was no new houses being built for several
Right.
years.
Yeah.
But now, well, everybody wants to get their kids in a line school.
Yeah. Is there any discussion of affordable housing projects in town?
Yeah. We've been talking
We've been
about
talking
it,
about
but
it, but
we don't have anybody who wants to. build
Nobody
them.
wants to do it.
Well,
Nobody
there's
wants to
probably
do the
no land
actual
either.
building.
And nobody wants to build an affordable housing project here.
It's not,
Okay.
not problem.
Not necessarily affordable, even workforce housing, which is the
Right.
next level up.
Yeah,
Well, and
but-
it's harder,
We-
it's harder in New Hampshire to get grants. We had Jonah Richard, who, I don't know if you know, he's doing all that in Fairleigh, you know, he's building a lot of stuff.
Next to
in Fairleigh.
Chapman's.
Next to
Yeah.
Chapman's,
Okay,
he's a Chapman.
Yeah.
And he came and talked to us, and it was interesting, because he was saying that, you know, in Vermont, he can get a lot of grants and,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
because it's really basically impossible to build affordable housing unless you have some sort of help.
It's hard for
Some
him
grants
because
and
it's a
stuff.
small, it's not geared towards small towns, small development, but
Right,
he actually said, besides all of the financing, all of that stuff, the key is to have somebody who's gonna drive the whole process through.
Well, in Vermont, you have a governor who's driving.
No,
that.
I mean, somebody like Jonah.
Right, but I mean, in Vermont, they want more housing. They're losing people, you
Right.
know, so it is easier in
Well,
Vermont.
like, New Hampshire's playing lip service to the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I
yeah,
gotta say, you
thanks.
saw like, you know, in Lebanon, there's like a
400.
500 and an
Yeah.
almost 300.
400.
Yeah,
Two
one of the
different
Denver
projects.
And the one in the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
Enfield, yeah.
I mean, the town will be real, you know, it won't be, anyway, it's too, I mean, we need housing, but it's gonna change Lebanon, that people won't wanna live there. There'll be so much traffic, so
Yeah.
much.
but they
problems.
want to eat at the restaurant.
Are you gonna do the Yogi Berra?
No.
I don't go there, it's too crowded. I don't go there anymore, it's too, you know. what's that- what's the
Actually, I
Yogi
think
Berra say?
Lebanon is big enough to, it's pretty happening
Yeah.
and, you know, Enfield is just kind of should happen because it's got a really nice downtown and they've got beautiful natural areas.
Yeah.
So I don't know what is wrong with Enfield right now, but I think Lebanon's really very highly desired place to live.
It's, I was talking to somebody about some of the challenges in Lyme, and one of the challenges for low income or affordable housing is transportation.
Yeah.
And I remember back, I think when I was working in Dartmouth, the advanced transit went up to.
Went up to line 7.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
But
Yep.
what interesting
And
too.
they're not going to either. I keep asking because they, you know, I fill out their surveys and it's like, oh no.
And yet they go to Bradford.
Advanced transit doesn't.
It is
but-
advanced transit, but it's,
Yeah.
there's a bus that will go up there.
Yeah.
Right. But I was reading, we probably saw in the Valley News today, that whole article about the 494, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna charge, they're projecting they're gonna charge $2,000 a month for a studio apartment. I mean,
What?
it's not even close to affordable
No,
housing.
that's not.
No, that's
And it
not.
goes up, because Jonah's charging 1,300 for a studio
Yeah.
for regular, and then he's got some at 900, which is, for, you know.
Which
affordable housing.
it really is affordable in this day and age.
Right, but
That
down there, I
really-
mean, they're building almost 500 units, and the cheapest, I mean, 2,000 a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they're gonna
My
get,
mortgage.
they're gonna get,
Taxes, my mortgage, taxes and insurance in Fairleigh, I'm paying 1,100 right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we moved here in 1982. I tell people we were living in Enfield, and I said to Prue, can you believe it? We're leaving Enfield where our property taxes are $536, and we're moving to Lyme, and now they're gonna be $932.
And now they're 15,000.
And now they're.
Yeah.
yeah, when we moved in 1980,
Yeah.
I think our taxes were less than 2,000.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
Anyway.
my house was 52,000 in 1984, you
Yeah,
know, that I
it's-
bought.
Yeah.
52, you know, people, you know, you can't,
Same as you buy a
you
car.
can't get a car
Can't even
that,
believe you,
you
you know,
can't
when
get
you
a
say
car
that.
for that these
Oh,
days.
Yeah, ours was
Yeah.
82. Our house,
73, I thought.
no, we paid 82,000.
Oh, okay, well,
yeah, well,
Yeah,
Cree
yours
Wagner
was-
bought our farm in 1951 for $12,800.
Wow.
The whole farm.
How many acres do you want, Tim?
Well, back then, I think it was around 40 maybe.
Oh, it was a huge piece.
No, it wasn't huge. Yeah,
plenty.
but anyway,
Yeah.
it's all relative. You could buy a new Volkswagen for $1,900. Remember, you could buy. a
I
new
remember,
Volkswagen.
because my mom bought a
Yeah.
convertible back then, and she paid 2,400 for it.
Yeah, extra, yeah.
What, a Volkswagen Bug?
Yeah,
Convertible?
convertible for 24.
Wow,
The hardtop was
Yeah.
1,900.
Yeah, yeah.
wow. Get those extras.
Yeah.
She was
Well-
very frugal.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, good
Yes.
luck with the zoning board.
Okay.
Yeah, and just, you know, we'll
Stop by and sign.
stop by, we'll get everything going
Yeah.
and, you know, like, we'll need a plan for them just to see.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
You need a septic person to,
yeah,
Okay,
then,
And-
so the process, we go to the zoning board, get a variance, if approved, then you would need to do a subdivision plan.
Yeah.
Which would be a survey plan showing both lots. You would have to get, a septic design done for the new lot. Talk to Scott, get a driveway permit, make sure that's gonna work, and then come back to the planning board for the subdivision. They would approve the subdivision, and then once the subdivision approved, then the lots are separated. And
well, you need some,
homework.
and yeah, there's,
ZBA's first.
Yep.
Septic review or who does
as
that?
You're in
you
the design.
you talk to a septic designer.
see, and if your lots on the other side of the road are 5 acres or less, you're gonna need to get state approval for those.
Yep, you have to get a subdivision
but you
approval
could
from the
keep
state
them-
for,
Bigger,
I'm not gonna do a subdivision, those 5 acres, it's all, they're gonna be one.
Yeah, well, that'll simplify.
but even the lot across the street. You'll have to get state subdivision approval because it's under 5 acres, and most septic designers can help you with that.
But it's not gonna be under 5 acres.
Well, it is,
is.
hopefully,
3.4.
hopefully, it
Yeah,
already
if the
is.
zoning board approves it as a 3.04 acre lot, then.
Oh, I see.
Then the
Right.
state also has
Has
to
to approve
approve
it.
Yeah,
because it's under 5
David's
acres.
talking about your existing house.
Yeah, the existing,
The septic system has to be approved for the existing house.
Yes.
you need to show the state that you've
Yeah.
got what you need.
yeah, and again, a septic designer would help you, and like I say, at the same time, you'd have to apply for subdivision approval of that small of the lot that your house is currently on.
Mhm.
And, in the septic designers usually can handle both of those at the
Oh,
same
okay.
time.
Okay.
So the septic designer can help for the,
State,
It's
Subdivision,
gotta be the
Subdivision.
state.
but also for the approval of the existing septic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
but get the variance first because before you have them do all that, because if they accept, the ZBA says no, then
Oh, we don't need all this for the.
for the ZBA, right, just,
Okay,
you know, a basic plan showing what, you know, and I mean, this map is pretty good, it shows the text. You know, so you just want to split those two lots.
Yeah, okay,
great,
great. Thank you very much.
thank
And
you.
then what I'll also do is I'll give you, there are 5 criteria for a variance. And I will give those to you, and basically, I'll ask that you write kind of a narration of why you believe this meets all those criteria.
Okay,
Not-
and we will ask Amy and
Yeah.
then see if they would like to.
Yeah.
bye, have fun.
See,
Keep us posted.
Yeah.
We managed to catch a trout ice fishing in our pond last week.
Oh my
What?
gosh, with your bare hands?
No, with a little
Chip
jig,
up?
my 7-year-old grandson was dying, and so
Oh.
we drilled a hole and jigged it. caught
We've
me.
never caught a fish in the winter, ever.
Wow,
Like within 10 minutes.
must have been a
The
hungry
biggest
fish.
rainbow.
well, you gotta put a shack out there.
Yeah, we
Oh
started.
my God. Have you guys seen the eagles on the pond?
Yeah.
Have any of you seen them?
I haven't
There's
seen,
2 and it seems like they might be gonna nest.
Oh, the nest is on Claybrook, or, coming
Yeah.
in.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Up the
yeah,
river?
yeah, I've
they've
seen
been
that.
seeing them on Lake Maury also the same too, I
The
believe.
same
I believe they're the
Right.
same too.
You won't be seeing many herons. Cause
They were
the
fighting over fish the other
the
day.
eagles eat the herons.
Oh, good.
And those eagles, I saw them, I bet it's the same ones, right on that pine tree in front of your house. At the very top.
Yeah.
I bet
saw
you did.
2 eagles. I actually can
I
show
bet
you
it's
the
the
picture.
same too. Oh, you took a picture.
Yeah.
He saw an eagle grab a trout out of our pond years ago.
And they were like flying up to the tree to eat it together. I mean, it was pretty cool, but people have seen them, so it'd be great if they nested.
Eagles eat baby loons too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not
I
good.
know, it's
Yeah.
endangered species
But
versus
they bought
endangered
it through there.
species.
Nature is.
they do.
Yeah.
We have to eat something.
Right.
There- If you go, if you go to the Lebanon dump, you will also see eagles. They're down there.
Oh, and also the trout place down where Tim gets his trout in the spring. I mean, they just,
Yeah, I bet.
yeah, it's really fun to watch. Anyway, thanks so much.
Yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
So can we do minutes? Do we have those people?
yeah, I saw an extra help or extra word in. Where to open? The petitioned amendment
Introduce the petition.
in paragraph 3 in item 1, introduce the petitioned amendment.
Oh, yeah, ED.
Yeah, and then the next paragraph, the board discussed, take out discussed allowing buried propane tanks.
Oh, yeah, good, I missed that. And then I had,
Okay, and see, propane tanks.
yes.
I got the tanks,
very-
tanks for that.
And then at the very,
We knew what you meant.
very bottom of page 1, David Kahn moved to approve. We'll take out of. Dave, did you get all those, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had.
So, well, so the petitioned amendment, take out the in that, add tanks and then take out, of,
Yeah,
that's,
otherwise, great.
I'll make the motion to approve them as amended.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, 2 minutes.
I'll make the motion that we worked really hard already.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know whether we wanted
Well, we
to
don't
look
have.
at any of this
that-
stuff or not.
I mean, I think we do, but it's like, we're gonna be repeating
Right,
ourselves when
Right,
the rest
right.
of the board gets back, since we've got, many, all three are interested people,
right.
so.
No, I agree. I just was gonna say about, just to throw this out there, it seems like there's two different parts to this. One is zoning, parts of the zoning that we know what it says, or we want to say, but it's not written clearly. I mean, that's sort of one issue. And then the other issue, obviously, is whether we want to change any of the zoning. And it seems like a lot of what Frank is doing here, what he was doing is his ideas of how the zoning should be changed. So whether we agree, we agree or not. I mean, he does have a few good points here about, not understanding the language.
Yeah, well,
But so I don't know whether we
I
want to, I guess what I'm trying to say is
Talk about
separate.
these right now,
Yeah,
because we don't have the other people, but I do believe this is an abbreviated list. Because we've got to deal with some other things as well.
right,
So
right. Okay, no, I agree. We won't.
and so we have Frank's list, but on our list. I think we need to be dealing with, we said we would, like, what happens in the shoreland district.
Yep.
And that's includes the Rich Brown problem. And then, I think we need to remember back to breakfast housing on the Connecticut.
Conversion, the whole.
And that situation about
What's a resident?
what is yeah,
transient is,
transient,
Key, I think.
yeah.
Well, this is the whole conversion thing about whether we want to modify, the 5-year wait and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
and all-
I think
Yeah.
Frank was making some points about it being
Yeah.
kind of illogical,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the uses and conversions, yeah,
Right.
so he's already got that,
Yeah.
so
Right.
that doesn't need to be added, but I wanted those two things on there,
Right.
so.
and the plan development, he also made some good points
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
but
Yeah.
that's it, yeah, we've got
So-
those, so are there any others that we've been talking about that,
Well, we could maybe increase the size of the ADUs.
I think
Yeah.
ADUs is a good thing to put on
Yeah.
there.
I mean,
And
whether-
we're not gonna do all these things, but if we get 3, and do them well, we're doing great.
right,
So we should choose which ones are a priority for us, and, I know shoreland is gonna be one of Rich's, but,
right.
did the select board take a position on the abeyance of
I don't
enforcement?
think he's asked yet.
Okay,
Right, but I think we also want to keep in mind that we want to help the ZBA. If they have any questions, not so much
but they're
changing
not
the
helping
zoning.
us unless they tell us what they think it needs to say. If they can give us some language,
Well,
give us
things that
some
they aren't-
language.
Right, but things that they aren't clear on,
Well, this is, isn't it- is
Well, I'm
it
gonna-
is it
well-
more than this?
Get new ZBA,
Right.
there's only one person who's been on it
Yes,
for quite
yeah,
a
that's the
while,
whole
and so, I think he's kind of
This is an Malcolm,
Bill Malcolm.
Bill Malcolm, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's so new on the ZBA that
Okay, so they don't really know.
they don't really
They
know.
haven't
No, there's no-
encountered these yet,
Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't.
so I think,
But a joint meeting between the
that's,
ZBA.
what I'm going to do is prompt the ZBA at their next meeting to, start, considering their own list. And, then once
Right.
they kind of have an idea what they, again, with all the new members, a lot of them haven't encountered any of
Right.
these issues yet.
Right, well, we don't even need more. We have enough between what Frank has and then the
Well,
other things that we
like-
have. We don't need more.
To see them prioritize what they think are the most important, to just
Yep.
provide that feedback
Right.
Yep.
to the planning board.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. It's important for them to prioritize because if, as Bill told me, if they have something that comes up that they don't understand it, or they don't, it's not clear to them how it's written, then they just don't enforce it. I mean, so if they have things that they really don't understand, we should try to help clear that up for them.
Yeah.
So they can at least enforce,
Nothing's enforced, so they can make a decision with better guidelines.
It's like the ag soils and the 25% and the parent lot issue, that is something that just really is not clear at all. And, that's something that they would be dealing with on a fairly regular basis.
So it's like a fractal situation and it relies on really good record keeping. And so maybe it's really not a problem and it's our problem about not clarity when we allow things to happen and what the consequences are of allowing those things to happen.
Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe it's
again,
not that,
John was, when we talked about it last, he was like, well, if the planning board does building envelopes at the time of subdivision, then that would solve the
Yeah.
problem, but there's nothing in writing that says the board is going to do this. You're allowed to, you can do it.
Mhm.
But there is nothing
Yeah.
in the case where, in the subdivision regulations, it says, in this situation,
Yeah.
the board will
Yeah.
provide building envelopes and
Yep.
in that case, then it doesn't even need to be in the zoning,
right?
yeah, things like
because
that.
the planning board will have taken care of it and there would be no need to go to.
Well, that would mean that the zoning board is approving the building envelope that the planning
Or,
board.
yes, so
So
yes,
that's not really the
okay,
case.
you're right,
yeah. And I worry about the fishers, because they've got to have ag soils.
Yeah.
That sandy, well-drained soil,
Yeah.
no rocks, it's gotta be ag, so.
I don't think they could make 3 lots there. They could,
I don't think they could either, assuming they got their variance and then could, had 15.93 acres. I don't think they could get 3 lots, but I'm worried about them, where they're gonna put their house. For example, I'm sure it's right on an ag soil.
we should have made that a little clear.
Well, I
Brought that up more
said
to
that
them. I
wasn't,
just should have, it's not
I-
agricultural.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information, and so you're gonna need to be sure that. It'd be helpful probably for you to print out a map for them of the
Yep.
soils on their property, so that they know that what they're dealing with. And that they might need to go back to the zoning board for developing their house.
Cause I bet, Vicky, that they're gonna wanna put their house right on ag soil.
Yeah, I did
I'll
too.
bet you they do.
I will,
And they probably don't realize that they can't unless they don't have any other place.
Right, so that might have to do with, they make a lot for themselves that maybe is only 4 acres, it's all ag soil.
yeah, it's a really, I wish I could get up on the screen, it's a bizarre, that big flat area that showed up in
Yep.
the
Yep.
hillshade. There's a strip right down the middle, it's not ag soil, and you have ag soil on either side.
Oh, so maybe they,
So
Can
the
run the
driveway
driveway,
would
yeah.
absolutely have to be
Yeah.
in the ag soils.
well, good for them.
And then they could, but depending. Let's see that.
Yeah, because they might have, they have to put their house on
Yeah, the first 100 feet. From the road is ag soil, but after that. And then you get that drop off,
Mhm.
which I don't know why the drop off is considered ag soils, because that looks like it's,
Steep slope,
it should be, it's over 15%
Yeah,
slope, which
yeah.
ag soils are not on,
right,
but.
right.
Yeah,
I haven't calculated
Right, well, that would be helpful for them before they
Yeah.
fell in love with where they really want their house and the view of the pond and all that.
Well, yeah, they probably don't wanna put that near the road anyway, so.
I wouldn't think so, plus the other house is so close to the road.
Yeah,
Wow, look at us, 8:30. We've done a lot
Yeah.
of work.
Adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Oh, now just to bring up the next meeting, which I think is, or I know is February 13th. I have cataract surgery scheduled for that day. So
you won't be here.
I won't be here.
I can
It's
see
outpatient, you can come
clearly now. the
I'll have a
light.
big patch on my eye and I won't be able to drive and.
Okay, the 13th, I'm gonna be here, so I'll be here.
Okay.
I think so. I'll be here.
Well,
What about Rich?
Yeah, I think Rich. 'cause
Yeah,
this was
Rich is,
his-
Rich is gonna be here.
so the 13th is really talk about the zoning stuff.
So, okay, you mean the Francis,
Yeah, and our
Correct.
things, yeah, and
Take what we wanna do, pick our
maybe
battles.
pick what we want, yep. I mean, it might be good for one person to pick an amendment and just work on it and present it to the rest of us, you know, that kind of thing. Just to get it done, because we don't write well together. We get along really well, but we don't write well together, and it's a really waste of time, so, to do that, writing, so, you know, maybe each of us say, oh, this is my favorite, I really want this one, I wanna write the amendment, and we'll bring it in and then talk about it, I don't know if that's a better way to deal with
I
it.
think you're, yeah, cause it takes a long time to.
Yeah,
us to get
yeah.
somewhere.
Well, we get bogged down in petty crap too.
yeah, we do,
Well,
So-
yeah.
yeah, and then we have at least one expert for each amendment, if in that way. And if everyone took one, then, I mean, David takes the past, not you, but David Kahn, we'd have 6 amendments, right? Just really good work for the year.
Yeah,
I don't know how we're gonna get to the housing chapter, though, if we're working on zoning amendments. But
What's more important? I mean, what's gonna have a greater impact?
right now, probably clearing up that, so Bill Malcolm isn't bad mouthing us. Well, seriously,
yeah,
Oh, I know,
because he's
no,
gonna bias all those people that he's with, because he's the only one who knows anything there, so.
no, I was just sighing about people bad mouthing. I wasn't saying
Oh,
you're wrong.
yeah.
I was just like,
There are a lot of people to bad mouth these days. We got a whole bunch of them down there in Washington.
oh my God.
It's what is clown
I've been
show.
watching the Australian Open.
Good
Thank you
for
very much.
you. Good for you.
It makes me glad I don't have broadcast TV, to stream stuff.
Oh, I
'cause
don't-
can-
No, I
You
just,
can't get away from it even on NPR. It's like, I just,
Yeah, no, I
Right.
listened to FDR since 9/11.
Yeah.
Because I listened to them a lot, and then all of a sudden it just became, them asking everybody's brother how
how do you feel?
how did it impact you?
Yeah.
Can we be so fatuous?
And it's like, after,
Yeah.
asking some farmer in Iowa how it impacted him really is no interest to me.
Well, the thing was that all these people who said, I don't feel safe anymore. And I said, it's fucking safe before. What is wrong with you? Have you no imagination? Did you read no science fiction?
well, we can all be glad we're. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter anymore if we're born in the US. We can still.
I want you to know, my family is teasing me that I'm the anchor baby. My parents were not citizens when I was born.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, you're gonna be out of here.
Absolutely.
We'll protect you. You can
Back-
hide in our cell.
Back to England, you.
Oh, my God.
Plus, they're probably looking at your Facebook posts and knowing that you're
A rabble
a
rousing.
really bad person,
Yep.
not a MAGA supporter.
Well,
Yep.
how can they undo the 14th Amendment? I mean, if they do that, we
You
might
did
as well
stop
give
the
up. We might as well
Oh,
just
come
move
on, if they gave, the immunity to the king,
Thanks.
they can get rid of the 14th Amendment.